Hey, okay, so you're new to manga. I realize that most of my viewers probably aren't new to manga, but let's just say you are. Cut me some slack, okay? I'm trying to make a YouTube video. Let's say you just read your very first manga. Statistically speaking, it was probably One Piece or My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer or something along those lines. It doesn't matter what it is, but you read it and you really, really liked it. And now you're curious. You want to know what this whole manga thing is about, right? Right? Say yes. Today I want to recommend some manga that might be really good for people who are just starting out in the hobby. I was there recently. I only started collecting manga maybe about like a year ago, so I know what it's like to have this huge interest in a manga but have no idea where to start. So that's why I'm making this video. Now granted, I've only been collecting manga for about a year, so I haven't read all that many series. However, I feel like I have a good enough understanding of the manga community and of manga itself that I think I can recommend some series. So the manga I'm going to mention is going to be my own personal opinions of what I think would be really good for new readers. I think it's also worth mentioning that most of the series I'm going to recommend either fall under seinen or shonen, which means their target demographic is boys or young men, because that's the stuff that I'm into, so naturally that's the kind of stuff I'm going to read. I really haven't read that many shoujo series, so I'm not going to recommend any because I'm not too familiar with that demographic, although there's a couple series that I am interested in reading that are shoujo. But anyways, without further ado, here are some of my recommendations that I think would be really good for new readers and new manga collectors. I would like to start off with my absolute favorite manga series of all time. I've mentioned it so many times before. This is the series that got me into manga collecting, and I'm talking, of course, about One Punch Man. Now, you may have heard of One Punch Man before. It has a pretty successful anime series. Season 1 of the anime was really good, but season 2 just really didn't do it for me, and that's when I started to collect the One Punch Man manga. And I gotta say, reading the manga was so much better than watching that second season. Not that the anime was bad, but I think I just really enjoyed the manga format a lot more. So One Punch Man is an action comedy superhero series thing. It's about this guy right here who's on the cover named Saitama. Now Saitama is very, very, very strong. He can basically destroy any monster or anything in one punch. And you would think that that would make him really boring. You'd be wrong. Anytime Saitama shows up, it's always such a hype moment, especially later in the series as the story starts to rely more on the side characters that are also really, really good. It's so funny. It's so cool. I really cannot say enough good things about One Punch Man. The art is amazing, by the way. I highly recommend you check out One Punch Man, especially if you're new. I think you'll really like it. All right, the next series I want to recommend is Monster by Naoki Urasawa. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I have not finished reading the entire series, but I have gotten pretty far into the series, and I gotta say, it's awesome. The story of Monster follows a surgeon named Dr. Tenma. In the story, Dr. Tenma is framed for murder by one of his own patients. So Dr. Tenma has to run around and try to prove his own innocence and solve the mystery for himself. It's a really good read. There's actually a lot of reading in Monster. The art is really good. The story has some great characters. The spines of Monster are pretty wacky. They don't connect. They don't all follow the same pattern. It's pretty weird. But if you put the front covers together, it forms a wall of like framed paintings, and it's really, really cool. If you love a good mystery story, I highly recommend you check out Monster. All right, another series I want to recommend is Spy Family. Now, Spy Family is actually still being serialized. It's a currently ongoing series. In English, there's only about 2 volumes that have been released. I believe the 3rd volume comes out in December. I'm really looking forward to getting that. Spy Family follows this group of characters, the main character being Twilight, who is a spy by profession. So in order to complete his mission, Twilight has to recruit a fake family of sorts in order to infiltrate a school building. So he adopts a child named Anya, who just so happens to be a telepath. She can read people's minds. But of course, Twilight doesn't know this. And then to tie the whole family off together, Twilight also, quote unquote, marries a girl named Yor, who also just so happens to be an assassin. But of course, Twilight doesn't know that. So it creates this really funny dynamic between this family where the father's the spy, but he's trying to keep that a secret. And the mother's an assassin, but she's trying to keep that a secret. And then there's the daughter who's a telepath and who knows both of their secrets, but also doesn't want to let them know that she's a telepath. So it's really weird. It's got this really funny dynamic between the 3 characters. And it's got really, really funny moments. I laughed out loud reading this manga. So yes, I am so excited to read more. I know in Japan, where they have a lot more volumes of Spy Family published, the series is doing really well and it's really popular over there. I think it's just a matter of time before Spy Family gets an anime adaptation. So yes, I definitely recommend Spy Family for anyone. It's super good, lots of fun. Get it while it's hot. All right, it's October, so I kind of have no choice but to show you a spooky manga too. I want to recommend Uzumaki by Junji Ito, or anything by Junji Ito for that matter. Uzumaki is really good and it's really creepy. It might be a little too overhyped, but it's really good, so I understand why. If you've never heard of Uzumaki before, I'm about to explain the premise to you and you're about to laugh. So Uzumaki is a horror story about a town infested with spirals. Now, the first time I heard that, I was very confused. What does that mean, first of all? And secondly, what? How can a spiral be scary? After reading Uzumaki, you will have a newfound fear of spirals. I think how the story was written was Junji Ito had this idea of spirals, and then he said, okay, what are some things that have spirals? Tornadoes, lighthouses, snails, hair, water, water. These are some things that could have spirals involved with them. And he took those things and he said, okay, how can I make this scary? And he did it. Now, the way Uzumaki is written is pretty strange too. It's almost as if it's a collection of short stories, but it's not. It follows the same characters. And even in the later chapters, things really connect and they start to make sense, sort of. I really liked Uzumaki. It's a really good horror story. It's really hard to explain because of just how wacky and crazy it is, but I definitely recommend you check it out. If you like horror, or even if you don't like horror, I recommend you give Uzumaki a try because it might be something that you'd really like. Even just the art is so good, and Junji Ito's art style is just so unique and it's so creepy. It's really one of the highlights of the manga. I don't think this manga would have been popular if it had been drawn by any other manga artist. It's so good. I definitely recommend you check it out. It's wacky, it's weird. I think you'll really like it. Okay, the last manga I want to recommend to you guys is Berserk. I would not recommend Berserk as your very first manga. However, after you've read a few and you feel you're ready and up to the task, I definitely recommend you try Berserk. Berserk is weird. It's hardcore. It's gory. It's dark. The story is a dark medieval fantasy. It follows the main character of Guts, and they go around and do medieval things. I don't know. There's horses, armor, castles. It's a really, really good story. Maybe some of the best story writing in manga. The art is just amazing. Absolutely fantastic. This is one of my favorite series. I don't recommend it for your first manga because I think it would ruin all other manga for you because that's just how good it is. Also, it might be too hardcore for some people and might steer them away from manga. So especially for the younger viewers, be warned about Berserk. I don't know what the manga ratings are like, but if this was a movie, it would definitely be rated R. Personally, I've not read the whole series. I'm just collecting these deluxe editions as they're released. And these hardcovers are amazing. Like, they're big, they're heavy. They cover 3 volumes in just 1 book. So yeah, maybe not as your very first manga, but I definitely recommend Berserk. Berserk kind of sealed the deal for me as far as manga collecting goes. Okay, so that was 5 different manga series that I definitely recommend for anybody who's new to manga. Most of those are very popular series. They might even be considered normie series, but I don't care. I think they're good. I think that they'd be really good for people who are just getting into the hobby. So let me know in the comments if any of these sound interesting to you. Hopefully I was able to recommend something that piqued your interest, and I'm sure there's people out there who know way better than I do. So for those who are familiar with manga, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know what your picks or recommendations would be for somebody who's new to manga, somebody who has only read like 1 or 2 series and is interested in getting into the hobby. What would you recommend to those people? Like I said, this is pretty much all just shonen or seinen. I haven't gotten around to reading that much shoujo series, but depending on how this video goes, maybe I'll do another one just like this in the future, but focusing mostly on shoujo series. So this is the part of the video where I tell you that I upload every Monday and Friday and ask you to subscribe, but I think I gotta stop saying that because I work a job. It's kind of hard to upload videos every Monday and Friday. I'm definitely gonna keep trying to upload every Monday and Friday, but I think what I'm gonna start saying now is I usually upload on Mondays and Fridays. So yes, I usually upload on Mondays and Fridays. So be sure to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed. I think that's it for today. I'm Ryan, and bye.